Hi everyone, can you hear me? Okay, good. I believe you can hear me. Hello, August 29, 2024. Wow. Okay, we are speeding into that brick wall. Many have hit it already, but things are getting really very difficult to handle, and I sure do hope that all of you have some sort of protection, because with what is coming down the pike, with what we are seeing already, you're going to need it. Andrew Cruz, Alicia, Analog Synth Player, Sandra, and James B. Hi. And Julie, and the Hypocrites Matrix, and Kim Blanchard, and Ain't Buying It, and Joni. Hi. Hope you're all doing well. T. Lamb. Is this real life or just some twisted simulation we're watching unfold? Oh, unfortunately, it is very real, and it hurts. It definitely hurts. A lot of people are hurting. Who did I just see there? Kimberly Hollingsworth. Hi. Nice to see you. Space Indian, Patricia White, Miss Blanche. Hi. So, and Rage Against the Machine, and Oracle 11, and Elizabeth, and Silent Walk. I missed all of you. How did that happen? I don't know. Well, we're going to get right into it because I've got weather, but I also have, this migrant situation. It's really bad now. Okay. Boy, I think an awful lot of people might say, so I really shouldn't, maybe they won't, but, things like, I should have been more concerned. I should have done something. Even if just for my children, to keep them safe. All right, here we go, radar. Okay, we've got it going. Look at these things coming out of Florida. I mean, they look like scary little, I don't know, like jellyfish in the atmosphere. Not real, okay? It's not real. Look at the different, God. All right, you see the air masses going in very different directions. These weather fronts now seem to shoot off a whole lot of what looks like, what appears to be long strands of precipitation, but we don't really know. You see this lineup? These are nanobots right here. Alabama. You got the nanobots. You got the nanobots going in Georgia and Alabama and all over. But look at these frequencies hitting these storms. Okay, well, yeah, a lot of places have severe weather warnings. Wow. All right, up here, Minnesota, into Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska, and Kansas. The very eastern portion of the Panhandle in Oklahoma, Texas. They seem to be exterminating some of these supercells, or at least lessening their power. You got New Mexico, Arizona, the extremely low frequencies. Yep, still blasting away in Southern California. And this is not looking good. And look at this. You've got the creation of supercells, that immediately join this rope of supercells. And more supercells coming out of Iowa into Minnesota. Pennsylvania, look at these. Look at the frequencies in these storms. Yeah. This is not looking good in Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. Not looking good at all. So well, let me refresh to see if, no. Tornado alerts in Wisconsin. One expired, but you still have Dunn and St. Croix in Wisconsin. I'm not at all surprised. They're coming right on in with their very defined line of supercells into Wisconsin. And the severe weather, well, we've got, well, let me refresh. Let's see if it's changed. Some states have come off the severe weather map, so that's good. But we've got Alabama, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Wisconsin, and West Virginia. That's not a surprise based on what you just saw. Kanawha and Putnam in West Virginia. Be very careful. In Virginia, you got Fairfax and Fauquier area, I don't know. Loudoun, Prince William, Manassas in the city, and Manassas Park. That's also in the city. You've got Dunn and St. Croix in Wisconsin, Carroll, Pulaski, and Wythe in Virginia, Franklin, Roanoke in Virginia, Newton and Walton in Georgia, Amherst, Bedford, Rockbridge, Buena Vista, Lexington in Virginia, Clinton in Pennsylvania, and Jefferson in Alabama. Okay, once again, dropping the link to the alert page. I do suggest that people bookmark it, and the link to the radar site, I do suggest that you bookmark it. Be very careful. Now, that's, you know, with everything that is going on in our country, not just the weather, we are under attack. Okay? The war couldn't be more obvious. What we are looking at, what we are witnessing, and unfortunately, and a lot of people, what consequences they are suffering. So, let me just start with the weather. Australia, Victoria. A driver killed as wild weather smashes state.
Victoria's wild weather has turned deadly with a driver crushed by a falling tree in the state's southwest. The tree came crashing down yesterday in Gellibrand, killing the male driver and leaving his female passenger trapped inside with serious injuries. Gusts over 160 kilometres an hour caused havoc into the night, leaving tens of thousands of homes without power. And meantime, in New South Wales, strong winds and the warmest August weather in 12 years have triggered a rare winter fire emergency. Flames ripped through Horningsea Park in Sydney's southwest, destroying an old fairground and burning a home as locals were told it was too late to leave.
A whole lot of cops, a whole lot of ambulance.
Take a look. Pretty bad, man. But a lot of the good things have been saved.
The wild winds eased overnight, with temperatures also forecast to fall today.
And wildfires in Idaho. Wapiti. I think 6 homes were destroyed with this fire, and the smoke where I am is really intense. You can't see the mountains. Yesterday, we're driving down the road. Oh, you see the mountains. Today, not so much.
And a good evening. This is new for you tonight. Wind has whipped up an Idaho wildfire, destroying summer cabins. The Wapiti fire is burning near Grand Jean, and the flames have now reached the Wapiti summer homes. Our Jude Binkley spoke with one of the owners of those cabins. And Jude, what does the damage look like?
Well, Carolyn, we're being told that 6 cabins have burned and are a total loss, and the flames still pose a threat to other cabins in that area. Tucked in the Boise National Forest, 18 quaint cabins have made up the Wapiti Creek summer homes.
It's very peaceful. It was, anyway.
That changed when flames from the Wapiti fire reached the cabins.
We've lost 6 of them now to fire.
This security camera footage shows flames quickly approaching and engulfing one of those cabins.
See his cabin just engulfed in flames.
Dan Marler owns one of the cabins on the property.
My dad built it in the early 60s.
That him and his family use as a summer home.
We have a lot of memories in these homes.
While his cabin is safe for now, he says the fire is still there and still a threat.
Well, it's 90,000 acres now. 90,000 acres. This has been going on for several days. Prompt evacuations near Stanley. That's the town. This is about an hour, little over an hour away from where I am. The smoke is really, it's kind of taken over here. Though I can't smell it, only in one little area where we were today did I smell it, but not here. My eyes are bothering me all the time. I think, just the geoengineering, all of the toxins in our atmosphere, and then you add smoke from these wildfires, well, it can be pretty unhealthy.
Growing Wapiti fire has caused more evacuations in Custer County as flames threaten homes. Last night, Lower Stanley residents were told to evacuate after flames jumped Highway 21. The Red Cross set up a new emergency shelter at the LDS Church in Chalice for residents who had to leave. Fire officials say that crews were able to protect all structures overnight. The Wapiti fire is nearing 80,000 acres and none of it is contained at this time. Highway 21 remains closed between Sourdough Lodge in Loman and Stanley. And
here I came across this short on YouTube. Never seen it this bad. This is a woman in Idaho.
Check this shit out. Smoky.
I hope I'm in your dreams the way you are in all of mine. You've got a love so fine. I wish that I could make you mine. Once you sit down, you know I love you, honey, and you're so tired. I know it's hard how we're thrown into this life, then one day we must die. Got that river we flow on, that I'm doing wrong, long gone.
Yo.
Okay, so that's when, she put in, you should see mountains here. That's exactly what's going on here. But it wasn't like this yesterday. And then today, the smoke has taken over, all of the mountains. It's really, it's like, whoa, this is in less than 24 hours. But I will say this, Idahoans, I'm even going to show my face, though. I'm feeling like crap. Most beautiful. The most beautiful. Wow, that was I think, a frequency hit that I just saw because the camera went out of focus. By far, it is so incredibly beautiful, and they're thinking of putting I think a 2,000-acre solar farm right here. My subscriber and others in this town fought it and won, and now they have to fight it again. And they have a new commissioner. They've got the commissioners, the 3 commissioners that will vote on this solar farm, and all 3 are for it. It will destroy the beauty that I see every single day. And having been to Arizona and Montana, sorry, you guys lose to Idaho. So, solar farm. Evil does not stop. So, you get a win, then you have to fight again. Evil is it. When you let it spread, when you let them think, okay, now I can do whatever the hell that I want to do, they keep at it and keep at it. And it's exhausting and depressing. But a 2,000-acre solar farm, I should take video of what I see when I'm just, going out. And then try to imagine it covered with solar panels. And if you know the dangers of solar panels, I don't want to get into it too much tonight because I have way too much to cover. Destroys the well water for people. Migration of birds and animals. Too bad. Okay. I'm getting sidetracked. So, yeah, it's very, very upsetting. Oh, this is Oregon.
Thank you. In Firewatch coverage tonight, containment levels are slowly on the rise as the week begins to heat up. In Douglas County, the Diamond Complex is more than 11,000 acres and 73% contained. Northeast of Glide, the Homestead Complex is more than 5,900 acres and 50% contained. The Middle Fork Fire in Crater Lake National Park is nearly 5,300 acres and made a major jump in containment. It's now at 27%. That's a 25% jump from the 2% mark yesterday. In the Willamette National Forest, the Willamette Complex south near Oak Ridge is more than 13,000 acres. The Lane 1 fire remains at more than 25,000 acres and 93% contained. Outside of Blue River, the Orr fire is 3,100 acres and 28% contained. And the Pyramid fire near Sweet Home is 1,300 acres and 98% contained.
Now, I don't know if any of these fires in Oregon
Holden, thank you.
Taken any homes. If you do know, please leave a comment in the chat. But also, we've got Montana fires.
Developing right now, an infrared flight got up over the Bitterroot Valley, showing the Sherritt Fire a mile west of Stevensville is pumping out intense heat in the very southeast corner from Silverthorne Creek to the Kennedy Gulch area. It also had small patches of intense heat leading out on those edges of growth. The sensors also picked up a small push in the very northwest part. Heat was detected through that in some spots there too. A cloud obscured part of the fire, so there may be more heat than the technicians can map right now. This flight adds 174 acres of growth, bringing the fire to more than 1,300. Evacuation orders are still in place. The main concern is private properties on the east side of the fire. The western part is in remote, rugged terrain with little to no access. And updating you here, a plane.
Okay, so we've got a lot of fires going on in our country. How about Croatia? Bolivia.
Santa Cruz are evacuating the region as wildfires continue to rip through forests in the area. Now, the nation has recorded the largest number of wildfire outbreaks in the last 14 years. So far, more than 3 million hectares of land have already burned, with peak fire season still ahead. Emergency officials have been working to counter the blazes, evacuating villages as fires tear through the landscape. Countries across South America are bracing for an intense fire season that usually peaks in August and September before spring rains arrive. The Bolivian government is now calling for international aid as many indigenous communities try to protect their cropland.
Porque ahí tengo un amigo también que tiene su pastel, todingo se le quemó. Lo único. Ahora sí, esperamos que Dios y la Virgen y Cristo Jesús que lluevan para que así.
Why don't you beg, instead of the Virgin Mary and Jesus Christ for rain, beg the weather terrorists for rain? Japan is getting hit hard.
Japan's strongest typhoon of the year has made landfall in the country's southwest, bringing torrential rain and winds of up to 252 km per hour or 157 miles per hour, strong enough to destroy homes.
So you can roofs, you see it, the destruction. It's going on all over. All right, I'm going to post the link to IDH weather, and you might, I will continue to say this, subscribe to these channels because they let you know what's happening all over the world. Madness in the Netherlands.
The hurricane, which lasted no more than 15 minutes, swept through the Netherlands on Saturday and left a trail of destruction in Meppel. The areas of Kodaksleden and Oosterboer were particularly affected. Residents gathered together and assessed the damage. The destruction are bent and advertising boards behind the goals are broken. Pipes are bent and advertising boards are strewn further across the field. Dozens.
Well, this tree is looking pretty not well. That's what I'll say. I will post the link if you want to see more. They are going at it. Connecticut farmers meet with state leaders to discuss flood damage, but this is not the video. North Haven man. No, this is not what I wanted either.
North Haven police are putting out a...
Let's just see. Okay, home left sliced in half after severe storms in Michigan. This was yesterday. 2 trees came crashing through this house. But look at it looks like a new home, recently built, and it doesn't look very well. It looks like it could have been easily trashed by a tree. Not a builder, but it doesn't look like any kind of real strong material. Wow, man. All right, well, look at this. There were a lot of power outages. I'm not sure what's happening right now. A lot of trees down. And severe weather for Michigan again tomorrow. And I do hope that those in Michigan, like Mama Rages, don't have to suffer any of the consequences. Sewage spill leaves neighbors saying, not again, in Pinellas County. Okay, yeah. All right, I just wish that Americans would begin to, I don't even say wake up, just consider that you are under attack.
People living in a Pinellas County neighborhood woke up to this, a constant stream of water rushing across their neighborhood. But what's even worse, the county says it's sewage water. Multiple neighbors reached out to ABC Action News, voicing it's not the first time wastewater has spilled into their neighborhood, even flowing into some homes.
ABC Action News reporter J.D. Williams today getting answers for them about when it will possibly end.
This is the side yard going to the backyard.
This rushing flow of water through Barry Metlock's yard. It's not from a nearby body of water. It's not from heavy rain.
Between that tree and the fence, the valve, and every time it opens, it comes out.
It's from a sewage spill.
It's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Would you want this stuff in your backyard?
Concerned neighbors stood watch Wednesday morning as trucks pump out the wastewater.
The house smells. So we got fans in the house trying to keep the smell down. But what I'm going to do tonight, as far as sleeping, I'm turning the air on, but I'm more worried about the dog.
The neighbors tell me this isn't the first time that it's happened. In fact, last year it happened at this house right here. I heard from Barry, you can see right here how it is still impacting his yard. And I talked to the people who live on the other side of his house. They say they're worried that if it happens again next year, it can move over to their home.
It's just kind of slowly creeping forward west. So unfortunately, now this morning it affected our neighbor's house. And then, you know, if we're going with how things are working, our house could be, you know, the next affected one. So it's a scary thought to have.
Really? Okay. It's just a sewage spill. No big deal. No big deal. Oh, but we're going to raise your taxes, you know, because we need your money and we need to steal it. Because obviously we haven't done anything with our infrastructure. Drainage dilemma in a West Tampa apartment complex.
All right, thank you, Jeff. It's been 3 weeks now since Debbie brought downpours to the Tampa Bay area, and one West Tampa apartment complex is still flooded out.
Despite contractors pumping the water out, its parking lot is submerged and some apartments have major damage. With no relief, residents are now turning to 8 on Your Side for some answers. Investigator Brittany Muller has been researching the issue and she joins us now in studio. Brittany.
Jen, Keith, I'm asking, why is the water still here 3 weeks after Debbie? Hillsborough County tells me county crews discovered a drainage pipe under Himes Avenue was obstructed. They are now working to clear it to improve drainage.
But it took them 3 weeks? Come on.
It looks like a lake, but it's actually the parking lot at the Lake Azure apartment complex in West Tampa.
It was quite bad, but now it's getting even worse because now it's actually above the lake level.
This is Eagle 8 HD flying over the complex near Waters and Himes Avenues. Wednesday afternoon's rain adding to the already inundated property.
We've been at this for 20-something days with this water situation.
Madeline Gonzalez says her son, Johnny Navarro Quintanilla's car flooded out.
I already fixed it. It was like $200 bill, so it's quite expensive, and it was, because of this.
The leasing office tells us renters should have insurance to cover their losses. Management also says crews are working to pump the water out, but Gonzalez says it just comes right back.
Even when they pump the water, it comes back and everything floods again.
In the 3 weeks since Debbie brought downpours to the Bay Area, the complex has looked like this. 8 on Your Side wanted to know why the water is still here, so we asked Hillsborough County. A spokesperson tells us the private drainage system on the apartment's property appears to have a collapsed outfall pipe and possibly other functional issues, and the exact cause of the flooding has not been determined.
We don't have information on what to do after something like this. We just don't know.
8 on Your Side also reached out to the company that owns the complex, and we're waiting to hear back.
Sorry for the noise. That's the coffee machine heating up to make my coffee. Hurricane Ida flood survivors face soaring insurance prices. Just keep, taking those dollars out of your pocket and just throw them at corporations, throw them at insurance companies, throw them at the utility companies, throw them at the politicians, and don't expect anything back from the money that you have thrown, because you've thrown it away.
Sunday marks 3 years since the remnants of Hurricane Ida pummeled the tri-state with destructive, deadly flooding. And now some survivors tell investigative reporter Masa Saidi that they face a whole new challenge, the soaring price of insurance. She has a story tonight from Milford, New Jersey.
Every time it rains and there's a fear that it might flood again, we get re-traumatized over and over again.
3 years after Leanna Jones and her children were rescued from the flood.
Oh my God.
She tells CBS News New York now she feels like she's underwater. The problem is her insurance.
It's just not affordable. I can't afford it.
The headache started after Ida. Jones returned to find her appliances broken. Everything covered in mud.
I have the structural report that says the damage to this was caused by the flood, but sorry, we don't cover it because porches aren't covered.
She took out a federal disaster loan that's now due. That's on top of 2 insurance bills. We found since the hurricane, Jones's homeowner's policy has spiked 55%. An even bigger expense is her flood policy, up 57%.
This was supposed to be my dream home. It's turned into a nightmare.
Oh, you got a feel for her. Masa joins us right now. So what can she do to...
Allstate gets okay to raise California home insurance rates by an average of 34%. When you've been a people that just bend over and take it, they just keep taking more and more of it. 34%. Not just Allstate, but State Farm as well. Home insurance is about to get a whole lot more expensive for a lot of people in California. And let's see, State Farm is also asking California to approve a 30% rate hike for homeowners. This is your government agency approving these insurance company rates. They say, go ahead. Raise it more. Raise it more. because the economy is so good, and no problem. No problem. Californians will be able to handle that. Not at all. 9 deaths connected to listeria outbreak from boar's head deli meat. Okay. What was it? 2 nights ago, we heard that there's a town right next to where I live. There was a fair going on, and 2 people died from E. coli, from something they ate at the fair. Another town in the other direction had a boil water because of E. coli in their water, and people got sick. I don't think a lot of people are going to be buying boar's head deli meat.
If you're packing those lunches, this morning with Boar's Head deli meats, we have a major update on that company's recall. The CDC now says at least 9 people have died and dozens have been hospitalized in the country's largest listeria outbreak in more than a decade. Elaine Chiano is following this. Elaine, what more can you tell us?
Well, good morning, Michelle. CBS News has obtained new information about what USDA inspectors found at the Boar's Head plant linked to the listeria outbreak. Federal records show dozens of violations, including a rancid smell throughout a cooler and ants on a wall. Well, now some longtime customers say their lives have been forever changed.
Patrick Fleming says he regularly bought his wife Sue's favorite deli meat, Boar's Head liverwurst.
How long have you been buying the boar liverwurst for Sue?
Probably at least 10 years.
At least 3 times a week, Sue, at age 88, would eat liverwurst for lunch. But in July, after having her usual sandwich, she became violently ill.
Her whole body was shaking. I've never seen anything like that with anybody.
I was concerned, literally, that my bones were going to fly out of my body. That's how violent the shakes were.
She spent 9 days in the hospital and 11 days in a rehabilitation facility recovering from listeria, a bacterial infection from the liverwurst she ate. The CDC says 9 people have died and at least 57 others hospitalized, including Sue, in a listeria outbreak that originated from deli meats at the Boar's Head plant in Jarrett, Virginia.
I don't know how much of this is BS. I really don't. Because they can be injecting anything into these foods. But until I heard, that people were really suffering from E. coli, and then hear that 2 people died from this fair, eating food at the fair, I don't know how much of it is. I mean, for sure, there's an awful lot of recalls of food, and this is going to hurt Boar's Head for sure. But I don't even think it matters. I don't even think it matters anymore. They're just killing off people and killing off business, and we're just living the most destructive era that we've ever lived. Could be the most destructive era of all time. People across Connecticut take steps to repel mosquitoes, prevent the spread of disease. Okay. Now, years ago, I would have said, you know what, I would have thought, are you kidding? It's a mosquito. But we know, Bill Gates, we know that they have genetically modified mosquitoes. We know that they can create a mosquito with an awful lot of toxins that end up affecting people's health or kill them. So it's hard to say anything is bullshit anymore because there's an awful lot of people getting harmed. And we know how this evil is just, well, let's just say that it really spread. And the evil spread to mosquitoes.
It makes you nervous, you know? It makes you nervous.
It's rare, but can be deadly. What's being done to stop the spread of a mosquito-borne virus in our state? Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us here for the News at 11. I'm Keisha Grant.
And I'm Mike Heideck. State environmental officials will be out spraying in the eastern part of our state tomorrow, and concerns about Triple E are now also top of mind as school starts up again and kids will be spending more time outdoors.
And that's not the only concern. The state is also worried about the spread of West Nile. NBC Connecticut's Jeremy Chen joining us live in Avon with the news you can use tonight to protect yourself and your family. Jeremy.
Yeah, Mike and Keisha, this is the time when mosquitoes are most active, when it's dark and it's cool. And experts say by using repellents, that's probably one of the best ways to ensure those mosquitoes don't get close to you.
Yeah. The best way to ensure that you don't get bit by a toxic mosquito is just spray that toxic repellent onto your skin. And South Korea, 7 killed in hotel fire. Couple dies after jumping from 8th floor onto an air mattress.
Flames burst from a hotel's window. Firefighters spray water on the fire, but black smoke continues to billow out of the building. On Thursday at around 7:40 p.m., a fire broke out at a hotel in Bucheon, Gyeonggi Province, killing 7 people and injuring 12 others. The fire began at a room on the 8th floor of the 9-story building. It was extinguished at around 10:26 p.m., with about 160 firefighters and 70 vehicles deployed to put out the fire.
Fires are all over. So, okay. What we have going with these migrants, especially in areas of Colorado, very scary. But how about a group of 20 migrants tried to hijack a school bus?
He said these adults, they weren't kids, he said, but they had backpacks on, Mom, and they tried to get on our bus. He said there was a lot of them.
The district confirmed 20 migrants tried to board the bus Wednesday morning. That's when parents and the driver stepped in, keeping the migrants at bay.
It was definitely really scary.
And it wasn't just one bus. 3 men tried to board a different school bus in the same district a day earlier. And they're still coming in.
He said these adults, they weren't kids, he said, but they had backpacks on, Mom, and they tried to get on our bus. He said there.
Armed crew flaunts guns inside Colorado apartment building overrun by Venezuelan gang. Okay, I just want to preface. Do not take what's happening in Colorado lightly, and do not think that it won't happen in other areas of our country. Migrants tried to take over school buses, okay? We have a really big problem. Maybe Americans need to do something, perhaps. I don't know. But wow, all right. So it's not just apartment buildings. And I say that with a plural, not just one, plural, but also shopping centers. So we're going to go through it. Here they are, armed, flaunts guns inside Colorado apartment building overrun by Venezuelan gang.
The city nonprofits have lined up to help the migrants that have come here, that nobody is helping the American citizens, the residents that are trapped in these apartment complexes.
All right, so this is Tren de Aragua, which I think a lot of people probably thought, oh, that can't be true, when it was found out that Venezuela was opening their prisons and sending the military-aged men. And this Tren de Aragua is a prison gang. So you open up. Oh, don't. I hope you're playing. Little one loves you. Be nice. Sometimes you can be, got a little sibling rivalry going. Be nice. Little one, I don't know why you're doing that, because babe can really get you. All right, well, just wanted to make sure that... Are you playing or are you fighting? What are you doing? You don't have to do it during the live stream, you know. But hey, go for it. All right. So, opening up their prisons, telling them, go north. Do you think that this Tren de Aragua is only in Colorado? They're all over the country, just like MS-13, which was known as the most violent gang in the world. Number one. So now we have Tren de Aragua, and people are saying that, oh, MS-13 takes second place to Tren de Aragua, and they're all over our country. Yay! Yay! Good on Americans who just said, well, you know, they're looking for a better opportunity, and they're coming across legally, because I heard Biden say that they were coming across legally. Okay. When you have a people like that, lock your doors. Lock your door from those people who say those kinds of things. Video shows armed men scouring Colorado apartment complex. This might be the same.
All right, we're going to step off the campaign trail. We want to take you to a pretty shocking situation playing out in the Denver area. Take a look at this new video. The surveillance video appears to show potential gang violence at an apartment complex. This is happening in the suburb of Aurora, Colorado. These men captured on video using weapons to forcefully break into at least one apartment. Vicente Arenas from News Nation's Denver affiliate has more.
The video shows a group walking up a stairwell earlier this month at an apartment complex in Aurora. The Edge at Lowry is located at East 12th Avenue and Dallas Street. All but one of the people appear to be carrying either a long gun or a handgun. They then enter a unit. Another clip shows two men forcing their way into that same unit. The couple that provided the video told us today the camera that captured these images was in plain sight. They moved out of the complex today saying they feared for their lives. It was a day they said couldn't come soon enough.
I will probably sleep better tonight than I have in the last 2.5 years. It's been really bad. It started out with loud music, then escalated to gunshots, then escalated to kicking in doors, then escalated to just taking over the property.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.
Bad segue, News Nation. Really bad segue. Thanks for watching with a big smile. After what? Well.
Thanks for watching. Go to join.
To kicking in doors, then escalated to just taking over the property.
Thanks for watching.
Two men forcing their way into that same apartment. Edward and Cindy Romero moved out of the building yesterday. They say because it felt too dangerous to stay after this incident and a shootout earlier this month that left their car with bullet holes. The Romeros say things changed in the building when migrants started moving in. Aurora City Council member Danielle Jurinsky says this building and others have been taken over by the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Last month, the U.S. Treasury Department designated TDA a transnational criminal organization, and folks who live in a handful of apartment buildings say they are scared and believe it's a problem. Aurora police with a statement saying, "We are aware that components of TDA are operating in Aurora. APD has been increasingly collecting evidence to show the gang is connected to crimes in the area. However, it would be improper at this time for the city and APD to make conclusory statements about specific incidents or provide details about law enforcement strategy and operations." A couple of things, Emily. Yesterday, Denver police released a statement acknowledging TDA's presence in neighboring Aurora. Aurora PD says they believe reports of the gang's influence are isolated. But really, the bottom line right now, we can't get confirmation if anyone has been arrested or where these men are. Emily.
Alicia, absolutely frightening. Thank you so much. Lee Zeldin, I can't imagine the terror those residents feel, because whether or not we know what gang or if there's a gang affiliation occurring, at the end of the day, what we...
All right, I'm sorry. I must have pulled up the wrong video, but here, Denver's migrant crisis spills into nearby suburbs.
Sanctuary jurisdiction protects criminals and not U.S. citizens. And the real issue here is that there's a huge increase in violence in these areas in Aurora where these newly arrived foreign-born migrants, many of whom are Venezuelan, have started to grow. The Biden-Harris administration is complicit in having allowed our borders just be in chaos. They've allowed this criminal element.
And now police in Aurora are creating a task force to address concerns about the rise of a violent Venezuelan gang.
This has been going on for years. For years, only getting worse and worse and worse. And now you're creating a task force? Please, don't expect the police to help you.
Tren de Aragua, right there in Colorado. Let's bring in our Aurora City Council member, Danielle Jurinsky. Danielle, thank you. We've been hearing about this for quite some time. Residents have shared their concern. We've heard this coming up at city council meetings there. Aurora said we don't have anything to do with this migrant crisis. They're trying to help because we just don't have the space. The hospitals were overwhelmed. What is it that you're seeing right now as far as this Venezuelan gang taking over now the migrant centers there?
It's unreal. It's unreal. Residents tell me they feel like they are living in a third world country at this point. They are going block by block. They are going apartment complex by apartment complex. They are taking it over. I think the city doesn't really know how to handle it. So the city is burying certain properties that have been taken over by this Trende Aragua gang, burying them with code violations and playing it off as if this is just simply code violations. But this gang, they are marking their territory. They are putting up their gang-related graffiti on the blocks, on the areas that they have taken over. And quite frankly, I have heard too many stories from too many property owners, business owners, and residents to think that this is anything other than a complete gang takeover in parts of our city.
Like, what are you hearing from them? So say the business owners, for example, what have they been experiencing?
Break-ins, violence, kicking doors in. I had one property owner tell me that a tenant literally vanished from their property to this day. They don't know what happened to that tenant. His phone was shut off. They had not collected rent. They went, knocked on the door to get into the unit. The Aurora Police Department had to come let them in the unit, and the whole place was filled with guns, money, and giant barrels of gasoline. I am being told that they are running a black market for gasoline. And again, like I said, to this day, they have no idea what happened to that man, to their tenant.
Just reading through the what we know about Cookie Monster. I'm sure you've heard about this local gang leader by now. This is according to the reporting in the New York Post. This person has set up operations with the other gang members there in Aurora. This person allegedly took part in a brutal assault at an apartment complex there in Aurora. In March 2024, was arrested and charged with several felony assault charges, but was bailed out of custody and failed to show up in court. July 2024, just a couple months ago, arrested for allegedly carrying out a shooting at the same apartment where the previous assault occurred. One of your biggest points is, and we've heard this from others, is that Denver initially downplayed the concerns about this gang takeover. Where's the city now on this, and what are they doing about it? I mean, we've heard that the Venezuelan gang has green-lighted their members to attack police when confronted.
That's right. And Denver remains silent on the issue. Our governor remains silent on this issue. But the city of Aurora, we are taking a very different approach. We are trying to expose everything that we can. The Aurora Police Department just formed a gang task force. I have heard of this Cookie Monster and that he is the shot caller for this gang in the area. I have visited many of these properties. One time I stepped out of my vehicle and an alert whistle. This is how they're communicating, by whistling. An alert whistle happened, and I very quickly had to get back in my car. They have people posted all around different properties, up and down different blocks. They're watching, they're communicating. This is no less than a complete gang takeover. I have heard of this Cookie Monster. I have heard he was arrested, and the fact that he is back out on the streets is an epic failure to the people of Aurora and the entire state of Colorado.
I just want to finish up with this warning from the FBI director, if we still have it, from Director Wray. This was in April of this year, when he was warning about the rise of this Venezuelan gang. Listen.
We have ongoing engagement with intelligence community partners, state and local law enforcement, in some cases foreign partners, in looking at whether it's their drug trafficking, extortion, kidnapping for ransom, different kinds of violent crime, different kinds of trafficking and smuggling, even things like organized retail theft.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, right? And we know that the Laken Riley murder suspect had ties to a Venezuelan crime gang, assuming this one. And that was a serious threat. And for so long, people think, well, this isn't coming to their backyard. And here Denver and these surrounding areas are dealing with it. Final thought from you.
The final thought is that out of Aurora, Colorado, we are going to continue to stand up and expose this. I am working with many of these residents. I am personally pitching in and helping to get them moved out themselves. And a huge tell-all is coming very, very soon out of Aurora from these residents themselves, that we will not allow the state to continue to downplay this. We will not allow the federal government to continue to downplay this.
And demand that law enforcement round them up and deport them. That doesn't seem to be, factored in. And can the police, probably just the police in Colorado could do that. They're letting them take over these apartment buildings. Oh, man. So, here, migrant gangs spill into the suburbs, wreaking havoc, Aurora, but also in the supermarket areas or Target and Walmart.
Breaking news, Nez Nation, a suburb in Aurora, Colorado has been taken over by Venezuelan migrant illegal gangs. Officials from Aurora, about 9 miles east of Denver, have said that the Tren de Aragua gang has gained a strong foothold in their city, commandeering apartment complexes and drumming up violent crime and sex trafficking. This footage that you see right here, I had to cut off the audio, is footage of a Target, it looks like, in Aurora, Colorado. You can see these citizens, they almost get run over by a car. It is absolutely insane over here. They start brokering. So what happened is Aurora City Council member Danielle Jurinsky said these complexes are being run by this Tren de Aragua gang. They start brokering apartments themselves. When someone leaves out of fear or whatever, they go in, they take pictures of the apartment themselves. Then I've been told within hours, a Venezuelan family moves in. What in God's name is happening in America? This is the direct result of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's open border policy, letting in 18 plus million. Those are the only ones that we have documented. 18 plus million undocumented, unvetted, unscreened, illegal migrant invaders, you could almost say. These are not people looking for the promised land. I'm going to share with you another clip right here. I have to warn you, if you have kids or anything around, this footage is extremely triggering. I just want to warn you. This is an apartment complex in the suburbs of Colorado in Aurora that this Venezuelan migrant gang, brand new footage just came out today. Watch this. They have guns and they're knocking on doors. Unbelievable. Near you, you vote for Kamala Harris.
Look, this has been going on for decades, okay? Yeah, a whole lot came across the border during the Biden years. Okay. Republicans, where the hell are they? They're part of the problem here. No matter what administration is in, no matter what color of, the team they are on, it doesn't matter. This has been an issue for decades in our country, just letting more and more in and not deporting. And a whole lot of people, Trump will get a handle on this. No, he will not. No, he will not. The violent chaos that could possibly erupt before the election or after the election, depending on who, is in power. They could be declaring martial law. If it's before the election, they'll suspend the election. If it's right after, then probably it will be Trump that declares martial law. Who the hell knows? But all I know is that a whole lot came in during the Trump years. A whole lot came in during the Bush years. A whole lot came in during Obama years. I've been posting on it for 13 years. Okay? So, it's not just Democrats. It's also Republicans. Treason has been going on in our country for a very, very long time. Both teams are treasonous. 2 elderly women brutally murdered in Sonora. Americans traveling across the border from Arizona into Mexico.
Sonora, two elderly women were brutally murdered on the Sonora-Caborca highway. Investigators revealed that they were attacked by an armed group when they were traveling from Arizona. News for Tucson's Isabella Fredrickson has the details.
Sonora is once again the scene of tragedy. Two women were murdered while traveling from Arizona to Caborca. Their vehicle was found on the side of the Sonora-Caborca Federal Highway. The vehicle was practically destroyed with several bullet holes.
They practically stole all the belongings they had in the vehicle. This could be confirmed by the fingerprints left around it. So the hitman, in addition to executing these women, also stole their belongings.
The prosecution identified the victims as Edidina N., age 72, and Ubaldina N., aged 82. The Ariete Caborca news page shares with us the image of the funeral that was held in their memory.
They stopped them, they got scared, they shot at them, and then the vehicle practically drove about 2 kilometers further until it went off the road.
Following the attack, the Sonora Prosecutor's Office reported the seizure of a vehicle, cartridges, and magazines for long weapons, but no arrests were made.
We have often been told that they stand on the side of the road to set up checkpoints.
This is the second attack against American travelers on the Sonora-Caborca highway in recent months. Just in July, a woman was injured in an armed attack. She was traveling from California with her husband and 3 children.
The Deltas, the Pelones, the Hunters, recently the Pumas, the Lords of the Desert, labels that change because they simply feel like it. But let's say that in this list we put 10 to 20 criminal groups.
Oscar Balderas is a journalist specializing in organized crime. He spoke about the armed groups that operate in this area and the dispute for control that is taking place in the northern Sonora, which today leaves tourists and civilians as collateral damage.
There are more civilian deaths or other aggressions against people not related to the conflict that the groups have because there's an explosion of armed groups which are trying to control the border.
The governor of Sonora was questioned on Monday regarding the unfortunate double homicide.
The victims have been identified and are from Caborca. They have already secured attackers' vehicles and weapons.
When asked about recommendations...
Oh, boy. Okay, so we've got a problem. And I see people leaving, the figures of how many have come in, 20 million in the last 2 years. That needs to be actually supported with documents. The numbers range from 10 million to 20 million, 18 million. I've seen so many different numbers, and a whole lot seem to be using the numbers of all of the illegal migrants coming into the country for decades, like 40 million. But that hasn't been just during the Biden years. But does it matter? I mean, it doesn't matter. When you have a couple of hundred members of Tren de Aragua in one community, what are you going to get? You're going to get what you've seen unless you have Americans fighting back. When they see Americans just fleeing their apartments, when they just walk into other people's apartments and just say, get out, they know they can do it. They have to be shown they can't do it. But then what happens? We have thousands of this gang in our country. Look, we sat back and didn't do anything. If you did, good. But if you did, you, especially if you were taking action, you know how many were sitting back doing nothing. This is what we got. Do we bitch and complain about it? When yes, the people are also part of the problem. Well, so here, new in this final clip, exposing the dirty NGO Compass connections. This is Hernando RC, and I have to say, we need more of these Hernando RCs because he does an awful lot and this is a video that's not going to play, so I will link to it. You probably can play the video, but Twitter really doesn't like me, and they don't like me playing any kind of video. But what does he say here? I was able to penetrate the highly secured facility to reach the executive office floor and confront these traitors. So where did he go? To the headquarters of this NGO, okay, in San Antonio, Texas. Confront these traitors that have sold out America and put hundreds of thousands of children in danger. Well, they threw him out physically. Senator Chuck Grassley made formal requests to this Compass Connections for internal documents regarding their operations in February of this year, and they never fully complied. Well, guess what? Chuck, you got to get on them. Come on. Okay. Jesus, yeah, I'm going to request documents from this NGO, and then they don't fully comply. And what happens? Nothing. Yeah, Republicans are part of our problem. So, billions of dollars go to these NGOs. It's sickening. It is so sickening. There's so much information that Americans know, certainly enough to spark some action. Nope. East Boston Church no longer able to offer housing to migrants. Okay, New York City, Boston, migrants, well, you've stayed too long. Now you're on the street. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Encouraged to come, stay at some shelter or a church, and then, well, time is up. A whole lot are going to get very angry. Some are going to get violently angry. And who are they going to take it out on? Americans.
11 as Massachusetts deals with a surge of migrants. A church in East Boston opened its doors to dozens of families with no place to stay. But their time at Our Savior's Lutheran Church is coming to an end soon. Our Jericho Train is joining us live right now from where the church is. And Jericho, you say that the church says that they simply cannot stay there any longer.
That is exactly what they're saying, Colton. If you remember, we first covered this story about 2 weeks ago when the church was housing 35 migrants. And back then it was a concern that this was not going to be a long-term solution. And now that concern has become a reality as the church says they can no longer house those migrants and all of the families need to be out by Tuesday. Pews piled with personal belongings. Church floors converted to sleeping quarters.
This church is only half the size of the people we're sponsoring.
Our Savior's Lutheran Church houses Haitian, Dominican, and Venezuelan families, totaling about 40 migrants. But with that number growing, the church says they can no longer support the influx of migrants walking through their doors.
It's just going to be miserable to let them go. I said to somebody that afternoon, I just love these people.
This as the majority of its Spanish and Creole-speaking leadership plans to leave the church in the coming months.
That leaves the third active person, me. No Spanish. None at all.
And the loss of support from local organizations like the Boston Immigrant Justice Accompaniment Network, which would limit medical and mental health support for families.
This is actually not central to their core mission. So they can't continue to do something like this. So they're going to pull back, which means we will receive quite a bit less support.
The church offered their services following the state's restrictive shelter regulations, limiting migrants and homeless families living in shelters to only stay for 5 days.
What's likely on Tuesday is they'll go back and end up around the Wollaston station.
Yeah, sleeping on the floor. Good job. Don't ever say secure the border. No, let millions upon millions upon millions come across the border. Who could possibly think that was a good idea? Who? Anybody in their right mind would see that, well, we're going to have a problem here, especially when all of these military-aged men are coming across the border and terrorists coming across the border that we know of, right? Doesn't that present a problem? But we had an awful lot of people saying, well, they're just coming across the border because they want the opportunity, to have a better life. To the detriment of our lives? Stupido. Yeah. California sparks outrage with their home loan program. Again, we're just going to listen to a few minutes of this video. I will post the link. But Oregon, California, hey, illegal migrants, you want a home? We'll start you off with $30,000 of taxpayer money. Taxpayer money.
Outrage as California opens up a $300 million.
Is there really outrage? Do you hear any outrage? Californians, speak up. Any outrage? But it wasn't just the liberal retards, as, Mama Ray just says. It's also Republicans who aren't saying anything, doing anything to, both teams. The liberals will come out and say all of that crap. The Republicans just sit back and, I am for Trump because he's going to stop it. Good luck. Good luck.
$1 home loan scheme to migrants. Yeah, you don't have to be a U.S. resident. So now all of this affordability and lack of housing, it's just going to get worse. Yeah, let's check it out. Here we go. So Californians are reacting angrily to revelations that migrants who entered the U.S. illegally, otherwise known as illegals, they could soon benefit from a taxpayer-funded state scheme. Taxpayers funding this scheme. Yeah, keep hearing about that, right? To help hard-up residents buy homes. Now, they're saying residents, but not legal residents, illegal residents. So, you know what? I am not opposed to however people can get their hands on a home, getting it. But when you've got a situation where those who are coming into the United States aren't even citizens yet, and you're already competing for a very small amount of housing, and it's gotten super expensive, anything that kind of tilts some of that equation, to me, I'm a hard no-go on. We had another.
Clearly, Oregon is doing the same thing. Bronx community fridge vandalized again. All right, this is, I'm not entirely sure what the business is, but now look at crime exploding. In places like New York, just looking at people, you can't tell who is, an illegal immigrant or not. The border, you can't tell who is illegal or a citizen. But we've got crime exploding all over the place. And boy, New York, man, it was never a city that didn't have crime. But, I lived there. I felt completely safe, even though I was mugged at knife point, held up at gunpoint when I managed a cafe on the Upper West Side. Had two, I think, homeless people. One just catty-cornered on the road, it was a Sunday morning, and just threw a punch that I was like, okay, so we see far more happening. But even after all of that, another guy who was holding one of those suitcases that, what was that commercial? Samsonite, right? You had the gorilla jumping on this suit, the hard case suitcase. And there was a, like, what are those things? Scaffolding. So you're walking, one row is walking one way, the other row is walking the other way. And I could see this guy out of the periphery, and he looked angry. He's holding that suitcase, and he rams me in the chest with it. And it was, all right. So an awful lot always went on in New York. It is, I don't even recognize New York anymore. There is so many stabbings, so many shootings, so many murders. Oh, a woman found, dismembered in, behind a building. It's like, okay, so what do you think is going to happen, New Yorkers? What do you think is going to happen when all of these migrants, suddenly everything they're getting for free stops? What do you think is going to happen? All right.
Saturday afternoon, a group of kids is seen in this surveillance video walking by the Allerton Allies community fridge. One of them leaves open the fridge's door, causing food to spoil, and then
you can see it in the video. They threw all the food in the floor. Here you go.
Ignacio Collado runs the Allerton Allies community fridge. He says he saw the vandals as he was closing up his auto and tire shop.
I came out and I tried to stop them. They rang. The next thing they was going to do, they was trying to vandalize the fridge, the second fridge that we got.
Back in June, the first fridge they got was vandalized. With the community's help, Ignacio bought a second fridge to continue his work.
Take whatever you want, Mama.
Volunteer Shamati Melendez says every day there's a steady flow of people in need stopping by.
These fridges are full now. By tomorrow, it's empty. Beneficia porque me ahorro.
Nicolasa Bautista is one of the community members who visits on a daily basis. She says she benefits greatly because she and her family are able to save a lot of money.
So you have these kids who are just opening up their fridges and tossing all of the food on the floor. Okay, children are also not quite the same as children were not too long ago. North Haven man confronts thief that stole package from his front step.
North Haven police are putting out a warning. Thieves are tracking deliveries with expensive electronic devices.
And it's not just happening in that town. Tonight, News 8's Brittany Schaefer spoke with a homeowner who was hit several times.
Unreal. I couldn't believe it. I was flabbergasted.
Thieves target a brand new iPad and iPhone delivered to Ian Sancho's front porch twice in just 2 days. Both incidents caught on camera.
The two items, it was over $3,000. It's very shocking. Because it's never happened in this neighborhood.
The first happened exactly 1 week ago.
FedEx driver delivered a package, and then 3 minutes after that, I saw a gentleman standing over there by the car, walked over the rocks with a hood over his head, picks up the package and left.
The theft took less than a minute. After speaking to police, Sancho called AT&T to disable the iPhone and iPad and ask for replacements. This time, Sancho made sure he was home during the delivery window, but he wasn't the only one waiting.
There's a gentleman in front of the house with a hood on. So as I come downstairs to confront him, ask him what is he doing in the neighborhood, he says to me, "Oh, his car broke down." I said, "Where's your car?" He can't tell me where his car is. So as he's I'm talking to him, he's walking away from me.
When Sancho said he was going to call the police, he says the thief ran, and so did Sancho, so he could get a look at the suspect's vehicle. He and his neighbor were able to tell police a description and which direction he was going. Shortly after, North Haven police tell us they arrested Heriberto Perez Cabral. The 26-year-old New York man was charged with fourth-degree criminal attempt to commit larceny and was given a $2,500 bond. North Haven police say there have been a rash of similar crimes in the region recently.
I spoke to the FedEx company, I spoke to AT&T, and they're telling me it's getting worse. Apparently what they're doing is they're getting the tracking numbers from one of the companies, and then they're following the trucks. Make sure you have a camera, and make sure you know when your package is coming so you'll be there.
In North Haven, I'm Brittany Schaefer, News 8.
Babe is has become quite affectionate lately. So, just trying to maneuver around his head. If you're not home and you've ordered online and you have a delivery coming, you might want to get a P.O. box if you're in an area where this kind of stuff is happening a lot. Now what happened here? Oh, YouTube, man.
Well, a would-be robber got more than he bargained for after an attempted stick-up in New Haven. Police say it happened at Babe's Market on Ferry Street. The store's owner is talking exclusively to News 8 today. News 8's Aaron Logan has our report.
Every time the owner of Babe Market walks through these doors, he has a routine. He wastes no time. He immediately walks behind the counter and tucks away his gun, but he never thought he'd have to use it until, take a look at this. Last night, 2 masked men threatened his life. He looks calm now, but 22-year-old Karar Jawad is still thinking about what could have happened inside his Ferry Street convenience store.
I'm glad that he's going to survive, and that's what. You know, I didn't want to shoot him, but I had to because my life was threatened.
He says so was his customers.
And they've had a gun to a customer. So when they had the gun to a customer, he goes, "Give me your money right now." I was like, I have my gun over here. So when I pulled out my gun slowly. When I pulled out my gun, he pointed the gun right here in my chest, and I just let off a shot, a couple of shots.
New Haven, Connecticut. So, passenger destroys American Airlines counter with hammer after a scammer sold him a fake ticket. Okay, a lot of people are very easily triggered these days. I hope you're not one of them. Yeah. Okay. Woman slashes fellow bus rider in the Bronx, New York, who tried to pet her dog.
Police say a fight broke out between 2 women because one wanted to pet the other's dog.
It happened late this afternoon, East 149th Street and Morris Avenue. Moments ago, we obtained this surveillance video showing the suspect holding a dog and running away.
Eyewitness News reporter Joe Torres is live in the Melrose section with more. Joe?
Sade will show you that video once again in just a moment, but what a disturbing turn of events that happened here in the Bronx right around 2:30 this afternoon on board an MTA bus, yes, East 149th Street and Morris Avenue here in the Melrose section. Take a look at the video. Two women, both of them passengers on the bus, and yes, one of the women was holding a dog. The second woman, innocently enough, just went to pet the dog, and the dog owner, for one reason or another, took offense, got mad, pulled out a knife, a sharp object, and slashed the woman's face. Not once, not twice, but 4 times. Thank goodness Lincoln Hospital is right across the street from where this happened. The victim was rushed over there to the emergency room. We're told she should be okay. Now, we caught up with a restaurant worker who watched what unfolded moments after the slashing. She did not want us to show her face.
I saw people getting out the bus, and one girl was trying to take a taxi. She was hurry for taking the taxi. She had a dog in her hands, and then she took the taxi and she left.
And she left, said the woman. This here is the security camera video taken from one of the nearby businesses. Again, you can see 2 women, one in a white, one in a black coat, getting off the bus. The woman in the black coat was holding what appears to be a dog as she went across the street, and again, according to the witness, tried to get into a taxi and take off. That video, you can bet, will be a big help to investigators as they try and track down this woman who, again, slashed a bus passenger this afternoon 4 times across the face. Thank goodness the hospital right across the street, we're told that victim is expected to be okay.
New York, New York. It's a hell of a town. Worker dead at Wells Fargo desk for 4 days.
A Tempe Wells Fargo employee died at her desk.
Tempe, Arizona.
And 12 News is now confirming that it may have taken as many as 4 days for anyone in the office to notice. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us for 12 News at 10. I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. It's a story we first reported yesterday. Tonight, Tempe police are confirming the timeline of when the woman clocked in to when her colleagues found the body. 12 News journalist Gabriela Becerra is in the studio with new details tonight. Gabby, 4 days. I mean, this poor woman went 4 days undiscovered. It's hard to believe.
And that's a question many employees are asking themselves tonight. I spoke with an employee who said that she shared her perspective on the workplace environment, and they say it's a big building, but most people don't work there on a daily basis.
A Wells Fargo employee went to work the morning of Friday, August 16th and never went home. Tempe police tell 12 News 60-year-old Denise Prudhomme scanned into work at 7 o'clock in the morning. 4 days later, police responded to the office building near Washington Street and Priest Drive for reports of a subject down. Prudhomme was declared dead. The Tempe Police Criminal Investigation Bureau is investigating, but do not suspect foul play. A Wells Fargo employee exclusively spoke with 12 News, but asked not to be recorded or identified out of fear for their job. They say a colleague found Prudhomme dead at her desk in a cubicle while walking around the building on Tuesday, August 20th. Prudhomme's cubicle was reportedly on the 3rd floor and away from the main aisle. This employee says several people had smelled a foul odor, but passed it off as faulty plumbing. They say while most Wells Fargo employees at this Tempe location work remote, the building has 24/7 security, and someone should have found Prudhomme sooner. The incident left several employees feeling scared and uneasy. This employee wants to see new safety protocols in place, telling me, quote, "It's negligence in some part." A different worker also spoke with 12 News anonymously.
It was just uncomfortable.
Again, calling on the company to do more.
Body was there about 4 days before anybody found it, before anybody walked up to her and just to say hi, make sure she's okay. She was just laying on her desk.
A Wells Fargo spokesperson previously sent 12 News.
Of course, deeply saddened by the tragic loss of our colleague. All right, 4 days, dead at her desk. Nobody notices. Wow. Family, friends, Well, we're going to see more of this. People just not caring, walking over bodies. Right? We see it in the big cities. I've seen it decades ago. Who cares? Just, continue on, But, yeah. 13-year-old found padlocked in makeshift shell. This is in Utah.
Welcome to ABC4 News at 5. I'm Brian McElhatton. Sarah Murphy is on assignment. We want to thank you for joining us. Gut-wrenching news in Kearns. Unified Police arrested 2 adults for locking a child.
I just want to ask, is anybody in the chat watching the live? Okay, just wondering.
Away in what arresting documents describe as a makeshift cell. ABC4's Cade Gardner joins us live from that neighborhood tonight. Cade, you've talked to neighbors there. Do any of them know, or did any of them have any idea that something like this was going on?
Yeah, Brian, I spoke to a handful of them, and for the most part, no one could have really guessed what exactly was going on inside. Now, almost everyone I spoke to today on the street, though, did tell me the same thing, that the Peterson family, for the most part, keeps to themselves. One neighbor told me that the father isn't very friendly, and another neighbor told me that she won't even let her kids near any of the family. For the most part, it's a quiet street where neighbors know one another.
A lot of chaos over there, a lot of... even just a few weeks ago, we were sitting out here and we heard screaming from inside the house.
Neighbors say the family in this house is the only one on the block that keeps to themselves.
The 13-year-old, he would come and go for days at a time.
One next-door neighbor says she knows the boy was homeschooled.
It sounded like a lot of military type drill stuff. Like she would be out there giving marching orders, and she had him doing a lot of physical stuff out in the yard.
But had no idea what was going on inside until officers arrived for a welfare check.
And they went inside the home and they noticed these makeshift type cells inside the home.
Sergeant Amy Ray says the boy's father, Travis Peterson, and stepmother, Melissa Gray, told officers they were scared for their safety, and that's why they locked the boy up in one of 2 cells.
Up to 24 hours a day, to only be let out to use the restroom and to eat food. One of the cells was smaller in size, but there's belief at this point that maybe upwards of a month the child was in a makeshift cell.
Neighbors now reflecting on the last time they saw the boy.
And after being missing for days at a time, he was pale, he was disoriented, and my mom was like, I wonder if they're keeping him in there. I wonder if he's locked up somewhere. And we both said, no, there's no way. People don't do that. People don't do that to their kids.
She says they wish they would have made a call sooner.
I know we were both beating ourselves up.
But someone did, and the police encourage people to follow their gut and make those tough calls.
As though you're reading a book. Paint a picture for me from beginning to end, what has happened, what you've seen, what you've heard, so I can best understand. And if our dispatchers know that, our officers know that, we can go in and make contact on those welfare checks.
You don't have to be a child who's kidnapped and trafficked, to live an awful lot of pain and suffering. You can just be brought up by a whole lot of parents out there who are so mentally deranged. Yeah. That 13-year-old is going to grow up just fine. Just fine. Oh, 20 years old, beginning to talk about his experience. Forget about it. Just let go of the past. Yeah. Great parenting. I have just a quick shot of our economy. And think about everything. We've seen people triggered and they go berserk and, beat up American Airlines terminal. A whole lot of crime, a whole lot of people who are really stressed to the max. But we also have a lot of illegal migrants. We have an economy that is so trashed now that it will never, ever come back. We've got an awful lot of people who believe the lies, because it's easy to believe lies and then point the finger at all of the people who are looking for work, but guess what? Nobody's hiring. But they won't be believed by the people who believe the liars. So they get trashed by them, judged, right? We've got an awful lot of people like that. Easier to believe the lies that allow you to just judge people and not contribute to your community and help people out. Okay. Dollar General crashes. Most on record. Dollar General. Now, Dollar General is a dollar store, but it's not a dollar store. In fact, I think I purchased 2 things at a Dollar General my entire life, and I was amazed at how expensive it is. All right. But a whole lot of people go to Dollar General and it's crashing. Financially constrained core customer. Crashing because their customers are financially constrained at Dollar General. Okay? Things are not good. Owner is 77-year-old LA Deli, considering closing over public safety concerns, considering closing it out of exhaustion from asking the city to improve the surrounding area. Norm Langer, the owner of Langer's Delicatessen restaurant, has reportedly asked city officials to improve public safety and clean the streets around MacArthur Park to help make it a destination again. This park is very important for the people who live in the area. We have to give it back to them. It's not coming back. Nothing is going to get any better. Nothing. So, what? Do you have your safety belt on? Because we're crashing. Big Lots seeking investors and considering bankruptcy. Big Lots is a cheap store for a lot of different goods. Ford Motors joins list of companies stepping back from DEI. I didn't know Ford was doing the DEI. So obviously there's been a lot of corporations that started the DEI policies at the... Well, how about just make cars? Just make cars, okay? Do you really have to get into, the social, cultural wars with people? Do you really have to get into politics? Just friggin' make cars? Something that you used to do? No. The automaker said it has been taking a fresh look at its DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion policies over the past year and has taken into consideration, quote, external and legal environment related to political and social issues. Just make the cars. Okay? Okay. What else? Lowe's changes some DEI policies amid legal attacks on diversity programs and activist pressure. Why don't you just sell the friggin' wood? Okay? Keep it simple. Just sell what you have in your stores. I'm so sick of all of this crap. Oh, it's hard to take. And what do we have here? U.S. is a third world country. What immigrants and citizens think of America versus others. And I'm going to put the link into Dee's African Perspective video. And let's just listen to this woman for a few minutes.
As Americans, we've removed everything we actually need in daily life, like exercise, talking to friends, connecting with people, spending time with our kids. We've taken all of the naturally occurring things out of life and made it so that those things can only be achieved by a therapy session, by an activity that we have to pay for. But there's not many places, neighborhoods and cities where it's super easy to walk everywhere, where you can get a lot of natural exercise, whether it's walking to and from your house or to the grocery stores. This just doesn't exist for most people now. So you have to wake up early or on your lunch break or after work. You have to go to the gym so you can get in your exercise. Talking, like people are meant to just talk nonstop, but now we live like really isolated. And then when you are talking, you're probably at work and you're in your professional mode. But people are meant to share their struggles, their stories, everyday thing constantly all the time. And we're not doing that. And what do you see happening? Nowadays, everybody needs a therapist. Yes, therapy is needed for some things, but most people just need to be talking to people way more. And I don't mean like trolling on the internet. Kids stuff. There used to be kids running around neighborhoods all the time. Parents didn't have to pay all this extra money to do activities so that their kids can be involved in things. Parents didn't have to drive all over the place. No, they opened their door and there was kids everywhere. But now that doesn't exist. So we do need to pay for activities. We need to do special things. We need to be driving our kids all around. Eating healthy food in America is a part-time job, if not a full-time job, between trying to find the right food, reading all the labels, understanding, reteaching what minerals and herbs and all these natural things in earth that help us. It would all be so much easier if we just had healthy food in general. The point is, when things don't happen naturally in your day and you need to take extra energy to achieve basic things like healthy food, exercise, talking to friends, which helps regulate emotions and things like that, when you have to build those into therapy sessions, exercise sessions, hobbies, reading 17 books, of course you'll be tired.
So a couple of people tagged me in this video and...
Yes. I understand that the social engineering was to break down community, to disrupt, any kind of loyalty, I guess to make everybody lie in our country so that there is no more trust. You can't rely on anybody. Your word means nothing. But we need to reverse that social engineering. A lot of people keep throwing out, people have been engineered to behave this way. I don't give a shit. Work on yourself and be a better person. Yeah. Yeah. You want a solution? Live honestly, speak honestly. Establish yourself as a trustworthy human being and make your word mean something. Bring back meaning. There's a lot of frequencies going on right here in this place because my camera keeps going out of focus. That's not good. There's a whole lot that we could be doing to just try to make our communities a little bit better. All right, you help people in need, you help out people. At this point, I really think that Americans really need to take back their communities, really need to take back their streets, and try to get rid of these gangs. But we let all of this go for way too long, right? We were too consumed with our own little lives. And I'm talking about decades ago. This has been my entire life. And I was one of them. But then, there's something about life where, the two-legged, it's, you continue to grow for your entire life. You continue to grow. You continue to mature. You continue to learn who you are. You continue to develop the principles that you speak, develop them so strongly that you walk them and there's no turning back. That's the road that you put yourself on, and everybody has a choice in that matter. Yeah. So it's up to you. You can make the world a little bit better, in whatever area that you are in or not. Right? Okay. So we have been seeing, certainly on my lives, you see everything getting worse and worse and worse, okay? So for your own safety, make sure that you have protection. Do not take for granted, oh, I live in a safe area and therefore I don't have to worry about, no, don't do that. You know, you work on that awareness. Your self-awareness is crucial, but not a lot of people have that. They don't have a lot of that going. They're so unaware of their own self because they've never done any work on their own self. Well, you can forget about them because they're sorry. These are the people who lie. These are the people who manipulate other people. They gaslight other people. They never take responsibility. They are not good. Okay. So, develop that self-awareness. And if you feel like you're being triggered, you know, you have the awareness of that. And you can pull yourself back and not engage in drama. You don't want to do that, but you want the awareness of other people around you, especially if you're living in cities, for sure. But it doesn't matter. Suburbs, rural, you pay attention to when you're driving home. A lot of people are being followed, especially from ATMs or, you know, supermarkets. You pay attention. You get out of the car. You look around. You know, who's around. You're going to an ATM. You pay attention to who's around. This is no longer a safe country. Okay? Okay. Things are bad. And it's only going to get worse. So, try to create community with your neighbors. Try to maintain and better those relationships that you have with friends and family. Because if you don't need them now, you may very well need your neighbors, your family, your friends. And the only way that you can rely on them is if they can rely on you. Yeah. Do that work to be a trustworthy soul. Let's just take a quick look at radar because it did not look friendly. And it still doesn't look friendly. You still have these frequencies blasting away at these storms up here. All right, so this defined supercell line has moved further into Wisconsin. None of this looks pretty, but I think we're going to see some damage in Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Look at these. They're still bubbling up. Let's go. Let's activate the nanobots. They have their GPSs, and we'll just move them into line with the other supercells. Okay, Texas, it looks like you're being spared some severe weather. Look at this. Look at this. Traveling through Mississippi into Arkansas. I mean, at a speed. And why are these weather fronts going west? Why are some just staying in place, burbling up, boiling up? Here we have these going east, and look at this. Look at these frequencies involved. The plasma line, more activation of supercells. Yeah, it's pretty bad what we're living. All right, so if you're in these areas where severe weather is destroying people's homes or whatever, and you're close by, you drive to these areas, you know, and just put yourself out there and say, how can I help? Be the change you want to see, maybe. So let's just still severe weather warnings: Alabama, Georgia, Iowa, Minnesota, Virginia, Wisconsin, and West Virginia. Let's just do a quick. No, all tornado alerts have expired, but doesn't mean a thing. Severe weather includes tornadoes, includes baseball-sized hail, includes straight winds, includes flash flooding. It includes destructive weather, and you all really need to be careful of an awful lot now. So pay attention to the world around you. And on that note, I say be safe, good night, and good luck. Ciao, guys.